Hi, my name is Neil Pedersen. I'm an attorney of 25 years, and I also am a law professor that teaches law practice management and technology at a law school here in Orange County, California. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about a paperless law office using technology to make your office more efficient. And, you know, I think that probably my best qualification for talking about this subject is that my office went digital in 2006, and we've been practicing these particular techniques for 9 years, and I've experienced the good and the bad, and I've had the troubles that can come along, and I think we've kind of worked all the glitches out. So hopefully I can provide you in the next 10 minutes with some good tips about how to move forward with a paperless law office. And what I want to start with is the idea that calling a law office paperless is a misnomer, because we're never going to get away from paper in the practice of law. There's a reason why our profession is called the paper chase, but what we can do is, by using technology, eliminate the need to have a lot of paper, and we can use the digitizing of that paper to make things much more efficient and easy for us as attorneys. And so what I'd like to do is talk first about an overview of what you need to do to go digital. And I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, that you're considering the idea of going digital, and I'm not going to talk about all the great reasons why it makes sense to go digital. That would be another 10 minutes all by itself. But to do it, there are really a few things you have to do. Number one, you have to have a commitment to change, because it is going to be change. You're going to have to overcome those impediments that you like it the way it is, you're comfortable the way it's been, and so you have to have a commitment to change. Once you've made that commitment to change, you have to have certain tools that are needed in order to make it work, and then finally you have to have some processes or protocols within your office in order to make the digital law office work. So what I'd like to do is skip over the idea of your commitment to change, assuming you have that, and we'll talk about the tools that you need. And you'll be surprised that while there are very expensive, high-tech solutions out there to go digital, you don't need them. In fact, in terms of hardware, all you need is a computer and what is normally just a printer these days. Now, back in 2006, when I went digital, I had to go out and buy a special fast paper feed scanner, because scanners were not part and parcel of the overall printer package that you buy. But in the last 5 years or so, almost every printer you buy already has a scanner in the printer, and most printers will have paper feed functions. And so you probably already own the hardware technology you need to go paperless. The next thing you need is software, and no, you don't have to go out and buy special digital law office software. In fact, all you need is the operating system of the computer that you're using. Windows-based, Mac-based, whatever it might be, the operating system itself will do everything you need to organize your digital file cabinets, and all you need in addition to that is a PDF creating software. But if you have a printer that has a scanner already in it, then you already have that as well, because all of those printers with a scanner in it comes with, embedded in the system, a PDF creating software. If you have those simple things I've just talked about, which you probably already have in your office, you have all the tools you need to move forward with a digital office. Now, there are some other things you can have that really make things better, such as a PDF manipulating software, something like Adobe Pro or something of that sort, that allows you to use the PDFs that you create in very effective and efficient ways. Remote access software or hardware that allows you to access your office computer and all these digital files from anywhere in the world that you have internet access makes a digital office far more efficient for you. A laptop or a tablet so that you can access these documents from this remote location. And one thing I found very helpful is a second monitor, which isn't very expensive. Most computers are already enabled to be able to plug in a second monitor, and if you have all of your documents digitized, you use one monitor to put your file up on, in other words, the digital document on one monitor, and then you're working on the other screen, just as if you had a file sitting alongside of you and you're working on your screen. So let's talk about how we do this digital office. The basic process is that every document that comes in the door or goes out the door of the office is scanned. Now you might say, well, that's a lot of extra work, but you're probably already standing at the copy machine anyway, making copies to send to the client. So instead of making a copy, you make a scan. It's no additional time. And instead of then taking a copy that you would send to the client and creating the envelope and putting postage and mailing it, you just shoot that off by email and the client gets it far faster. So once you've scanned everything into the system, then all you have to do is have a naming protocol. In other words, once it's scanned, you rename the document. And I've come up with a protocol that works on any operating system where you simply make the name of your document first the 4-digit year, the 2-digit month, the 2-digit day, an abbreviation for the type of document it is, and then finally a to and from designation at the end. So, for instance, if I were to write a letter to Barack Obama on July 4th of this year, the naming of that document would be 2016-2016.07.04.LTR, which is my abbreviation for letter, .NP, my initials, to Obama. Now, when you rename that document, the only other thing you need to do is at the time you're renaming the document, you put it into the appropriate digital file folder that you've created. And that's easy enough as well. On my main, what I call my P drive, you might call it your C drive, whatever it might be, I create a folder that says Active Clients. And within that Active Clients folder, I create several folders underneath for every one of my clients by name. And of course, the operating system just arranges them in alphabetical order. So I have my client Abel, client Kane, client Davis, and then within each one of those files are subfiles, just like you would have in your hard filing cabinets. You'd have a correspondence file, a pleadings file, and a client documents file. So when you rename this document that's been scanned, you rename it and simply place it in the appropriate folder in your digital file cabinet, and you're done. Now, what have I done? I've saved the process of having to then take that hard paper document and put 2 hole punches in it, put it in an ACO in a folder, put a tab on it, create an index that tells me where it is in the file. None of that happens in my office anymore. Instead, we just use those accordion folders, and the most recent document that comes in after it's been scanned is simply dropped into that accordion folder, organized from oldest at the back and newest as the new ones come in the door. Could I get rid of those documents? Yes, and in fact, as of January next year, we're going to do that. But if you have some level of discomfort with getting rid of hard paper, at least do it this way, and you're going to save a great deal of time in creating files, tabbing them, indexing them, and the like. That's really as basic as it is to go digital. Now, what you do need to do, though, is how do you transition? And that was my biggest problem. I was trying to figure out, how do I take these 14 file cabinets worth of present cases that I'm working on and transition to digital? And so I just simply decided that as of January 2nd of the year we decided to go digital, everything from that point on was going to be digitized as they came into the office or went out of the office. And yes, for about a year or two, I had some files that was partially in paper and partially digital, and I was only experiencing the advantages of digital for those for those parts of the file that were digitized. But after a couple of years, all of those files phased out, and I'm now completely digital, and I didn't have to spend a great deal of time or money going back and digitizing all the old documents. So you can do it without additional expense and without additional trouble. The last thing I would say is, if you're going to go digital, make sure you protect your files. Now, if you had hard files, you would have locks on the files and you would lock the front door. But unfortunately, digital documents are subject to hackers that can get into your system, so you have to make sure you have good security in place. In the end, it is not difficult to digitize your office, and the advantages are amazing. And I would suggest that by using these tips, you can create a digital office. And one last point, if you go to the CYLA resources page, I have provided for you a memo that I used in my office to actually go digital, and is a step-by-step approach. Naming protocols, filing protocols, everything you'd need. So have fun.